Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the newspaper review right here at Prime Media TV. I am Ayo bringing you the newspaper review for today. And coming up, we have the stories to be reviewed with you today. First, illegal on the bridge structure demolished. State sues occupants to court. Lagos gives Ikoyi Tower squatters 3 days eviction notice. 80% of Lekki buildings have no approval, states Lagos state government. Banditry, now business ventures for government officials, says the Katsina state government. And to the last headline to be reviewed with you today, Northern governors went to US for ideas to end insecurity, says the Katsina state government. These are the headlines to be reviewed with you today. But before we go into all that we have for you today, let's go on a quick break. When we get back, we'll go into the show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. So, like I said, we will be looking at stories around demolition of buildings recently, especially from last week until this week, and also we'll be talking about buildings that are yet to be demolished, but very soon will be demolished in Lagos State. And first, we'll be looking at the first story. Demolition of illegal structures. Lagos, a victim of its own development, says Tokunbo Wahab. Let's see the news in details. Lagos Environment Commissioner Wahab says the demolition of illegal structures aim to ensure government accountability. Following the recent crackdown and demolition of illegal structures across Lagos State, the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, has reacted to critics who have accused the government of bantering the underprivileged in the state instead of concentrating on more economic problems. Wahab, in an interview with Arise News on Sunday, said the government of Lagos State is not bantering its citizens, but is rather just a victim of its own development. As such, everybody coming into the state has got to come in and be responsible and able to be accountable for. So, like I said, we will be looking at stories around demolition in Lagos State. There have been quite a number of stories. There is the story of the landmark buildings that was demolished in Lagos. We saw that was as a result of the coastal highway to be constructed on that axis. Quite a number of other buildings had been demolished. Just the same last week, we saw the some shops like the Domino Pizza, some eatery joints, some facilities that were destroyed somewhere around law school. The same last week, we saw the case of the under bridge structure that was demolished. That was an illegal structure. But at the same time, there are some other buildings that they do not in any way look like illegal structures. But yet, the Lagos State government insists that some of those buildings will be demolished. This is the conversation today. And joining me on this session is my co-host, who will also be analyzing the stories with me. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So on this case of demolition, since we've been hearing these stories, this back and forth about demolition, what were the major things that came into your mind?
Demolition in Lagos State. We hear and witness it every time. You know, sometimes it's funny. Tokunbo Wahab is saying is aimed at the government, showing accountability. I begin to wonder in what way. Is that the only way they can account for the state on the resources and all the things that have been happening? You know, sometimes, for example, I have a friend who lives somewhere in Bejuleki, Kaitoro, a place called Kaitoro precisely. Some years ago, you know, I know what it took that my guy to set up that structure. You know, sometimes they do this in not minding how it will affect people. and a time came, a news of a demolition came. It is in Lagos that somebody, possibly somebody who has some kind of connection to some government personnel, will get influence and instigate demolition here in Lagos State. A lot of things happen, and they will target, that it's coming from the government. Now, after that demolition in that place, I think this was happening about 2 or 3 years ago. After the demolition, bringing down people's structure, people's hard labor down, there was a news that demolition was an error. That was not the place they were supposed to do. Now, what happened to all these properties that were destroyed? These cases, something like this, keep on happening here in Lagos, where a place will be demolished, and later you find out it's an individual that influenced it, not that it's actually from the government. So you said some structure that doesn't look like illegal structures being demolished. It happens, and we really, this thing, I don't know. And because once they say it's from the government, nobody can say anything, nobody can do anything. Now, I don't know. Is it do you think it's possible in this Lagos State, judging from what people know and what has been happening? Is it possible? Do you think it's possible for anybody to, gather money enough to build, and we go into building without making necessary moves, getting necessary survey plans and all? Do you think it's possible? Now, if these things happen, if people take this step, who gives these approvals? Because I don't think anybody will want to waste his resources, knowing fully well that the government is going to come later. Who give this approval, this survey plan approval, all these land approvals and all that? Who gives it? And who comes again to say the same place that was approved is illegal? So it's really a problem in Lagos State that, to me, I now tell people that it's better you build somewhere else before you even consider building in Lagos. Because most of the houses, just imagine the one that happened somewhere in Gulf years ago. People that have been in a place for like 20 years. People that built when they were still strong. Men that built when they were still strong. When they were having the cash. And just when they feel like at least that burden is off their shoulder, one morning a news came that they want to demolish. Now, who approved those buildings in the first place? Who approved? Which? Because I don't believe if you are the governor, or if you are empowered in position to approve certain things, at least I think you are doing it on behalf of the government. Now, you are not going to be in office forever. So whoever is going to sit in your office after you should allow, I think the things you've approved, you approve them under the government. It should remain. So if this approval were given by some people, what now happened that when somebody else comes to office, they want to disapprove the same thing that has been approved?
Okay, like according to the Commissioner for Environment in Lagos State, the person of Mr. Wahab, he said, according to him, he said the reason for he looked at it from the perspective of the underbridge buildings that were demolished, and according to him, what he said was the reason for the demolition of those. They are not even buildings like that. They were illegal buildings because they were built under the bridge they were just demarcated with planks and all of that. And according to him, he said a whistleblower gets it to them that some illegal activities are going on there. So as a result, you see, in Lagos, we have seen countless instances of under bridge structures, people living in the under bridge. You see, most of them are working in that Idumota market.
Go to CMS
and all of that. Because
CMS bridge, you will see people.
Exactly, because people go from far places. People come from far places and they feel like, okay, let's just have somewhere to put our heads. And for that particular building, they were paying 250,000 naira annually.
Imagine.
And, they demolished the building, arrested the occupants and all of that. And according to him, he said they are looking at how they can use those under bridge for a good cause. And he said they were going to make a football pitch under those, under those buildings, so the people can channel it into a good cause instead of just demolishing it, leaving it for a while. Before you know it, people will come back to that place. So he said they were going to make a football pitch, and according to him, he said those that were arrested, that they will be charged to court, and by the time they make their findings and discover those who were just, they were just innocent, living there for just for the main time and all of that, that they were going to release those people, that if they had the money to get to pay for 250,000 naira for a blank building under the bridge, they can as well go to better places. That if they keep on living under the bridge, there is no how the Lagos state government is going to account for their education, their children's education, because you see that there are some of them that have children and they are living under the bridge. What if something bad had happened to them?
And this brings me to a question. Sorry, this brings me to a question. Arresting the occupant, who were these occupants paying the money to?
Yeah, exactly. That's the angle I actually want us to look at. That if they arrest the people who are living there, charging every one of them to court, I feel like the one they are being paid to is the one they are paying to, rather, is the one they are supposed to arrest, so they can get, know what is going on in that place. Because according, he said he has a video of the illegal activities that is currently going on there. So that's one of the questions we are going to look at. The people they are paying to is the one they are supposed to arrest. So where is the person they are paying to? And according to him, he said they have given countless notice to them to evacuate that place before it gets this bad. And secondly, he was talking about being accountable, that there is no how they will be accountable to their children's education, the housing, and all of that. Now, the question I want us to look at is that living in Lagos, even those who have legal buildings in Lagos, who are they accounted to? What measure are they using to account for the number of persons living in Lagos? Because statistics says that the highest amount of poor people in Nigeria are in Lagos State. That is what statistics says. And it is bringing me to ask that these people who have just been evacuated from that place now is going to add up to more criminal activities being carried out in Lagos. So instead of just arresting them, charging them to court, why not create opportunities for these people? They are the poor. We are just looking at it that they are paying 200. If they could pay 250, do you know that a room alone in Lagos State, you pay over 200,000 naira for a room apartment? Talk more of having a comfortable apartment. If you want to have a comfortable apartment, let's say a room and palace, because in Lagos, and the only places you see a room apartment is on the mainland, and those mainlands are even places that when it is rainy, there's no difference between being outside and being inside, because you discover that water is outside as well as there's much water inside the house and all of that. So why can't they just create a rehabilitation center for these people? And it is also, I feel like the Lagos State government can also get more. They can create more plans for people in Lagos State by working with the real estate agents. Look at underdeveloped areas like Ibejileke axis, areas like Ekpe axis, because this is the new Lagos. Move to those places, work with real estate agents, build the structures like that 1004 that we have. Build structures like that in those places, create employment opportunities, give people reasons why they have to move to those axes. There is housing for you pay at a very cheap rate. At the same time, you are working to get employed. There is the refinery at Ibejileke. Those places are places that Lagos State government can work together with real estate agents. Look at how you are going to build houses for people, lease out the house to them, rent it out to them at a very affordable rate, as they are leaving those axes, because those axes, the mainland is very choke. You see people who doesn't even, like you said earlier, they live under the bridge. They live in the open. The security of their life is not even ensured. So I feel like instead of just sending those people out, especially speaking for those people that were chased out of the under bridge buildings, instead of just chasing them out, charging them to court, the Lagos State government can as well create plans for these people to have comfortable housing. At the same time, the Lagos State government, they are making their money.
Lagos State government, not just Lagos State government, our government, both even in the federal level. I think I said it earlier in one of our program here that they have issue of misplacing priorities. Things that should come first and not what they are bringing up first. Just like you stated, they are better, even if they want to do this thing, there are better way to do it so that it can yield positive results. You don't displace people and expect to reduce crime. At night, somebody you destroy his structure. Currently now, people are going through financial challenges. And at least, whether you have food to eat, at night you should have where to lay your head.
Yeah.
And you are making life more hard, more difficult for people, and you think you can control crime. It's not possible. Now, there are better ways to go about things. Yes, it's not safe for them to be sleeping under the bridge. In as much as even the activities, the structures, or whatever plan they have, to be carried out under the bridge, it still involves human being under the bridge. Right? There's still a better way to go. But I think, first of all, they should go after whoever has been. And I tell you, not anyhow person can have that mind, the authority to give out space, under the bridge to people. You will notice that it's someone who has some kind of connection in the government. They know the person, but they won't talk about the person. Why arrest the people? Did they place themselves there? Now, it's a big problem that we have a government who don't evaluate their action. They don't see how it's going to affect. It's not easy. It's not difficult to issue an order. When you are in position, issuing an order is a matter of utterance, and it will be executed. Now, we should consider the people who are going to, who are going to be, feeling the pain of the order you are issuing. Now, they are talking about the under bridge own. I don't know how many notices that they've been given and all that. Fine. But the way they are going about it, and even having to go ahead, as some of them are not just single people, they are family people with kids. There should be consideration. All fingers are not equal. You get it? It's not, nobody enjoy. Is there, will anybody be taken to Ikoyi, to Banana Island and say, I don't like this place? Nobody enjoy living under the bridge, but you say you cut your coat according to your, all right? So I think the government, whatever they want to do, they should look at how people can benefit, how they can do this thing without people being affected totally.
Okay, I would like us to look at it from the perspective of this thing that Lagosians do, where they talk about son of the soil or moniles. We see that there's practically no bus stops that you get to that you will not see agberos collecting money over the roads that government built. They will just create a passageway, and they say you have to pay for parking space, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that.
Different name. You hear environmental money,
exactly,
chairman money, security money, driving money, different, and they are collecting it with violence. You don't pay, they are looking for something to pull out from your vehicle.
Okay, so looking at it from that perspective, even on buildings, even government-owned structures, like the case of the underbridge, it is a bridge that is built by the state government, and you see all these son of the soils coming to say, okay, we are giving you this space. Yeah, if you go to Lagos market, especially, we are giving you this space. You pay this amount. There was a time I used to know someone who in the Dumota market. If you stay too long at a position, you are going to pay for it. So now the question to look at is that who has the final say over these under bridge structures? Because whether we like it or not, if the Lagos State government do not get to pitch the football pitch they said they wanted to do in this spot, if they don't get to do it
immediately,
these Omoniles are still going to come back. Now the question is, who has the final say over most of the structures that we have in Lagos State? The Lagos State government or the Omoniles? Because they will still come out to say this is our father's land.
There was a question I asked earlier. I said, is it possible for anybody gathering money now is not easy? Is it possible for anybody to actually want to set up a structure here in Lagos and wouldn't want to get some necessary approvals? Now the thing is, some of these structures that have been demolished has certain building approvals, and these approvals will later come and be disapproved by the same body of government. What is happening? Now, we are not even considering the Omonile, because Omonile case in Lagos State is just like another level of the government. You know, we have local government, state government. I think Omonile case in Lagos State is just like another level of the government. Just that it has not been officially, they've not been, I don't know, they don't have office, but they're operating. You get now the issue of a place being approved, certified for being. If you go to all these houses, the owners will give you, they will bring the documentation of approvals of different approvals under the same Lagos State government. The only challenge is that maybe not under the administration of social person, but under the Lagos State government. What is happening?
All right. So on the same note, we are still looking at stories around buildings that will still be demolished in Lagos State. And just in, the Lagos State Commissioner of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, stated that 80% of buildings in Ibeju-Lekki has no approval. He disclosed this in a recent interview with newsmen. He said, I quote, "Just last week, Thursday and Friday, myself and the team were in the Ibeju-Lekki and Ekpe axis, and you would agree with me that anybody passing through the corridor would see a lot of estates marked. We went there, and I can tell you that from what we saw, over 80% of them do not have approval. The procedure to get approval is first to get the planning information as to what those areas have been zoned for. In this case, what we have is agricultural land, and people now go to their families to buy agricultural land. Of course, those lands will be sold because those families do not know the use such land would be put to." So I believe the thing with Lagos State is that you just, especially to the occupants, the son of the soil in Lagos State, you just wake up, you were birthed, and while growing, you discover that, okay, I was born in the Ibeju-Lekki axis. My family owns from Eleko Junction to Ibeju Junction. That is the land allocated to this family. And the son of the soils grew up with that mentality, with that mindset. They do not know that the government has already landmarked this place, that, okay, this place is meant for agriculture, there's no building. And truly, if you go from the Awoyaya down to Ekpe, you see, especially from Ibeju-Lekki to Ekpe, you see that from this bus stop to that bus stop, you are seeing a whole lot of estates. And here is the State Commissioner in charge of planning and housing. He said most of these buildings has been landmarked for agriculture. Now, the question to ask is that most of these son of the soils, they do not even know that these buildings has been landmarked. So when was this landmark done? How did they come about it? How come people are not aware? Who are the people? If at all people want to get their land, are they meant to go to the son of the soils, or they need to go and confirm from Lagos State government that, oh, this particular land we want to buy in Ibeju-Lekki, we don't know if the government has eye on it or it has been landmarked for something. Now, this is a conversation I want us to look at now. What do you think is the problem? What do you think the problem is originating from? Because according to Nana, he said 80% of these buildings has no approval. So it means that now that they've marked it, it calls for demolition. So what becomes of the real estate agents who bought this land? What becomes of the son of the soil that has collected the money? Who is compensating who? Obviously, for buildings that has no approval, the government cannot compensate anybody. So let's have this conversation.
When I was going through that news, I discovered that, he was actually saying that he said he visited.
Yeah.
He was passing by. So he said, mere looking at the structures, most of them are not legal. So it's not as if they've actually come for proper inspection, but just mere looking at things. I know since this Ekpe to Abamadesoya Road here in Ibejuleki, just immediately after the road, you see so many estates coming.
Yeah.
And what I will just say on this is just to advise individuals that things are now changing. Most of the Omoniles are not educated. They are not educated to know if the land they are claiming the ownership is still theirs. Because I noticed that these governments, actually they can, if they have mapped a place for a particular use, they have a way of grabbing it. Honestly, and some of these things are not as it were when this land were maybe these Omoniles, this land are probably given to them by their forefathers. And how things were then is not how it is then. Government are now looking for how to places that has some kind of capacity for some kind of development. So I think individuals should not just conclude by that. Is why there is documentation. Every land has a title. Recently someone asked me to help in getting a land, some plots of land for them, and when we get they ensure they call their surveyor to search the about that land. So I think anybody that want to buy land in Lagos, judging from all the demolitions we've been hearing of and that will still happen, one really need to be very careful and ensure that you verify the authenticity of that land. And I think the government should, one problem in Lagos State is that we have so many bodies overseeing a particular thing. I think there should be a particular body that will certify, everything that has to do with land and all that. Not having to go to this. Sometimes what this one approve, you get the other one will disapprove it. That is the problem. One of the problems of having this land issue in Lagos State. So many bodies to handle a particular thing is a problem.
Okay. On the part of inspection, I would say that people should become even aware. They should make proper findings, make proper research of whatever it is, whatever land it is that they want to get. And I think the major body in charge of that is the body, the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Housing in Lagos State. So I think people should become more enlightened, because you see that people get lands only from this Omonile, this son of the source. They get land from them, and that is all.
Sometimes they feel they are a royal family guaranteed. Because they are royal family believe the land is secure.
Exactly. So you feel like the land is guaranteed like that. So I think it is high time buyers as well should ensure that because you see most of these agencies that are in charge of this, and we do not even know they are functioning. I think that's one of the major problems. We do not know these bodies are functioning. We do not know their responsibility. We do not know how their service can be of help to us. So I think people should become more aware, and I think the Lagos State government should also be vocal about these agencies, that you don't just get land because it is what is trending now in Lagos State. You don't just get land
because of how fast land appreciates in Lagos. Everybody wants to acquire land.
Make enough inquiries, get enough findings from these bodies. These bodies are the one in charge of housing and planning in Lagos State. Verify from them, so you don't end up buying the Lagos State government property, and on the long run you begin to curse them and saying all of that. They will demolish it in your presence, and that would be all. Also, he said some buildings, some estates from Awoyaya down to Akodo, down to Ekpe, some of those estates will be demolished. Now, the thing to look at is, will there ever be compensation? Because they are saying this, and before you know it, they may not even come. They may not even come until the next 5 years, until the next 10 years, until the next 20 years, when this place is even more developed. Now, what will be the compensation for these people? If at all there's going to be demolition, do you by chance think there's going to be compensation for them?
It's a good question. You see, compensation can only come if the government were the one that approved the land and later in the future discover the land where the Lagos to Calabar, this thing has to pass. Now, if there are buildings that fall in the area the government has marked, they have approved this place to people before, but because of the project, the need for it, they have to bring down the buildings. Of course, there must be compensation. All right, but in a situation whereby it is already assumed, it's already stated that they are in wrong places. You got a land through the, Omonile, one royal family or the other, and is not properly investigated, inspected, and in the long run, the government discovered that you people, they just be allowing you guys to occupy this place. So we now have need for our property. The government, because it's not from them, they didn't approve the place. I don't think there's going to be any compensation. So I think it's just for them to take advantage of this update now and make the necessary move. Because looking at the estate for now, what we can see there, they are just skeletons. No, most of them does not have building yet. So I think they should just take advantage of this update now and make the necessary moves.
All right. In the meantime, we will be looking at cases of insecurity in Nigeria. Banditry now business venture for government officials, security agents, others, Katsina State Governor. The Katsina State Governor, Diko Rada, has accused some government officials and security personnel of aiding banditry in the country. Rada added that it has become difficult to end banditry as it has now turned into a business venture. He stated this on Friday, where he featured on Channel Television's Politics Today. He said, "Now it has turned out to be a business venture for the criminals, some people who are in government, some people who are in security outfits, and some people who are responsible for the day-to-day activities of their people. These are so many reasons why we are unable to bring banditry to an end." And according to him, he also said that you see most of these northern guys, most of these northern young people, some of them, they are being recruited into banditry with just 500 naira. But my own major concern is the part that I said it has now become a business venture for government officials. Now, I'm actually expecting him to mention names. I'm looking forward to him mentioning names. For him to have said that, I feel like there's something. I feel like there are some things that people say that you need to look beyond what they have said. For government officials,
there is no smoke without fire.
Government officials.
He has where it's coming from. Was it not last week or last 2 weeks? The president himself said this thing is an imported evil in Nigeria. If you are telling us that something was imported, then you should know about the importation. And now this is another high-profile politician in the country telling us that it has now become a business for his colleagues. Now, what I want to say is this: these people know what I said something in one of our program. I said now why this thing is becoming difficult and why they are raising alarm is because it is an invention from them that has grown wing. When something that used to be loyal to you, refuses to be loyal to you. You see, banditry in Nigeria, it's just so unfortunate that the innocent are suffering from this invention. When it is election time, you will know that these people are being used by some politicians. You hear noise of troubles here and there, all manner of irregularities being carried out, even in broad daylight, and nobody will check them. You see abnormalities being practiced in broad daylight, where you see the policemen, you will see these law enforcement agents, and these people will go scot-free because they are working for some people. Even if they are arrested, they will still be released. So they are coming out of their shade. These people, they are sitting on a time bomb. I told you in one of our program that it's not going to. Our leaders should know that it's not going to be as business as before. Their game is already. They are still dwelling in the old tactics. You know, it's good that even some of them have been. They are not. That is the reason why all of them are looking for bulletproof vans. Why? Because these people, the innocent citizens, they recruited into evil. Now you made huge promises, offer them huge amount of money, and you expect them to stop just because maybe you have won the election, you have gotten what you are looking for, you discarded, see them as nobody, and you expect them to stop. It's not possible. So they know about the roots of banditry, criminalities, and all these evil vices we are going through in Nigeria. They know about it. And it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time they too will eat from it. As a matter of fact, they're already eating from it.
All right. Um, According to the report, some of the things that I noted is that, especially when he said that some of the northern guys are being recruited into banditry
With just
500 naira.
500
One of the
naira.
things that I noticed that banditry can be attributed to unemployment and poverty. And considering the economic situation is not even stable for a normal person. You discover that times are hard, things are so expensive. Someone was I made my findings recently of the amount they are selling certain things in the country, and some of the many things that came to my mind is the fact that some of the things we used to get at a rate before, those things are now very small and they are being sold at a very cheap rate. They are being sold at a very
High rate.
expensive amount. Times are becoming difficult. The things we used to get at a lower rate before, you get them that same size, even smaller, and it is now quite expensive. So now the thing to look at is that if the economic situation of the country is not stable, there's really no how we are going to stop people from venturing into banditry. So for me, I feel instead of talking about the problem, we can as well prefer solution to it. As we are noting out the problem, we should as well note out solution to it. What would have been the likely solution?
Sorry, do you think he doesn't know the aspect of, poverty, hardship being, a possible cause of banditry?
Of course,
He knows about it, and he still also know that some of the politicians or government officials are involved too.
Of course.
So he knows what he knows what he's saying. If he had wanted to make mention of, hardship, the economy becoming part of it, he would have gone to that direction. So I want to tell you here that there is more to what he has said. All right? The thing is that smoke will always find its way out. All right? It's a matter of time. No secrets last forever. This thing is just like a smoke. It will surely find its way out. He knows what he's saying. And with time, we'll get to know more about what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. So if the root cause of insecurity is not looked into, there's really no how we can put an end to banditry in the country. If we are to consider the cases of poverty, we are to consider the cases of unemployment as the root cause of insecurity, then this should be the main issue that the Katsina state government is currently tackling. But it is not about throwing blame games. We know these things. We are aware of it. We've seen instances, when the issue of insecurity was rampant, sometimes earlier this year in the north, where a well-known controversial cleric was talking about negotiating with bandits. We mentioned it that this cleric is supposed to be probed to see his involvement with these bandits. We see cases of bandits flaunting their words of cash after receiving them on the social media page. We saw these things that the government should look into it. When the people that were the bandit camp that was discovered in Niger State, when it was discovered, we looked into it that they ought to probe these people to know who is sending them. But obviously, because their sponsors has more money than the Lagos, than the federal government, than the states involved can offer to these bandits, it is impossible for them to talk about it. So beyond talking about who could have been sponsoring these people, if they cannot you, then they should had better not talk about it. So it's still on the same issue of insecurity in the country. The Katsina state government as well has mentioned that the northern state governors will go to the US for ideas to end insecurity. So the Katsina State Governor, Diko Rada, has defended the trip of the northern governors to the US, stating that its purpose was to seek lasting solutions to the insecurity affecting the region. So immediately after the conversation on some government officials that the one involved in this thing, he mentioned that okay, now we the northern governors, we are going to the US on sponsorship, according to him, by the US peace settlement, that they are going to get insight as to how insecurity will be curbed in the northern region of Nigeria. So what would have been your opinion to this, going to the US, or can't we just come together? Can't all the regions involved come together and see how they are going to work on it instead of going to this? So it defended it that no, it is not our money, because the first thing Nigerians will ask is that in this economic hardship, people have the mind to go to the US but he said it is sponsored. So what would have been your opinion to this? Do you think this is going to create a lasting solution to insecurity?
Anyway, I will return it back to the statement from our president. If a thing is being imported, I've been with an importer. All right. Sometimes when a product is bad, there's a way of sending it back to the factory. And there are some cars that when they are bad because of their brand, they return them back to the factory. So I think if banditry, criminality, all these things, if it's actually an imported evil, of course, when you want to end it, you have to visit where it was imported. I don't know if you understand the area I'm going to. Now, what happened to all the bodies, all the enforcement agencies in Nigeria? Can't these people come together and put heads together? Must we go outside we'll go outside for ideas on how to end the economic crisis in Nigeria? We'll go outside to get opinion on how to. Are these people coming to us for the same thing? So these things, our people misplace priority. They do things the wrong way. It's not. Sometimes they are so much interested in telling us that they are working, but they are not showing us that they are working. All right. They talk about steps. They analyze the problem. Most of the time they come out, to talk about the problem and not even to provide solution. Now, going to US to seek for, is it for the US to send their soldiers to come and fight the banditry in Katsina? Or what is the essence? To go and gain idea that they are still going to sabotage. If the thing is coming from the government official, as they have clearly stated, then there is still going to be sabotage on any plan or idea they are getting from that side. So I believe if the governor of that state, is not really part of it, as he has come out to declare that, okay, maybe I'm not part of them, but I know that some government officials are the ones sponsoring these people. He has a better way. He can have a closed-door meeting with some people that he trusts, and they will bring a lasting solution to it. I want to believe that if they want to end it, they know how to go about it, not having to go outside, to go to US or to go to any other country. They too, they have their own issue. There is no state, no country without some act of evil and all that. So they don't. I don't think it's just the best step to take.
Okay, for the Katsina State Governor, I love the fact that he saw a problem, he highlighted it, and he was looking for ways in which those problems can be sorted. And according to him, he was quick to clarifying a lot of contrary opinions in the heart of Nigerians as to why they would go to the US to go and seek solution to a national problem. So he said the US peace settlement are the ones sponsoring the they are the ones sponsoring the trip and everything. So it also brings us insight to the fact that virtually everything happening in Nigeria is known nationwide. It is known to every other country. You know, every other country are aware that Nigeria, the highest level of insecurity is happening right here in Nigeria. And I feel like this international awareness is really going to it's going to pull down our cravings for international investors into the economy. You know, the Mr. President has been clamoring for investors to come into Nigeria, looking at all the tourist attractions that we have that they can come for and all of that. So they being aware of the
What is happening in the country?
insecurity in the country is going to further discourage them to come into the country, because most of these northern regions are where we have some of these tourist attraction and all of that. So one, it is not to the advantage of the economy. You know, they are aware of the insecurity issue. There's really no how they are going to invest in the problem. Okay, now they have gone. There's no how they are going to invest in the economy. So now they have gone to the US to go and to go and get insight on how to fight insecurity problem. So for me, it is not enough to go out to gain fresh insight on how they are going to tackle insecurity in the country. It is more about implementation. And like I've always said, there's really the big problem in this country is that we have a problem with implementation. You know, we see all the flamboyancy, all the going out, all the seeking new ideas, all the gathering committees, all the conferences, all the bringing people together. We see all of these things, but on the long run, you discover that there are no implementation. We only hear about it on the newspaper. We don't get feedback. We don't see how these things are implemented. We don't see these things reducing. You know, I think insecurity flared up the moment Akpabio, the Senate president, said insecurity is gone in Nigeria. There's no insecurity. Days after, children were kidnapped in Kaduna State. So it is not enough to, to keep on talking about it. Nigerians want to see implementation. Nigerians want to see how these things that they have learned, how they are putting it into place. And you mentioned the security sector. It is a thing that all the security sector in the country can come together. How can we fight insecurity? You know, it is a big blow on the face of the security sector that you have the DSS, we have the police, we have the army, we have this, we have that, we have people probing different cases of insecurity, but we have really not come to an agreement on how we can totally put an end to this insecurity. So it also calls for the agreement of the security sector to come together. No, this is a big shame on our face that as the security sector in the country, we're experiencing this. Let's put our heads together. Let's brainstorm. How can we put an end to this thing? Then they can come together, merge together with the states involved in this high level of insecurity. What are the things that we can do? How can we work about this thing so that this thing will not be sabotaged? And also, you mentioned the case of sabotaging. So I feel like it is high time that we begin to work with plan A and plan B in the security sector. Okay, we have gathered together with these people. Okay, these people have mentioned that there are some government officials that are likely involved in this thing. Let's have a plan B. Bring in your trusted men. In case this plan fail, let's look at another way in which we are going to curb the issue of insecurity. In case these people flop, in case they don't get to work according to our plans again, what are the things that we are going to do? So I feel like these are some of the likely things that the Nigerian government can actually look into to curb insecurity in the country. So I would like to hear your final word before we wrap up the show on insecurity.
All right. When a problem, if the government has what it takes to end insecurity, all right, because we have we have sectors in place If it is to equip them with the necessary arms, the government can do that. If it is to whatever it takes to, because you see government spending money on so many things, whatever. Sometimes even the money on they spend on the buying of cars, allocations, and all that. If they channel most of this energy, most of these resources on things that can help to curb insecurity in the country, it is achievable. It is achievable. So the just like I earlier said, I hope that the process will not be sabotaged, since most of the people, if he has spotted that the government officials are involved, it means that there's every tendency that some of these people will still be part of those that would have gone for that meeting. All right. So if you really want to tackle the insecurity in that state, and I think the other state can equally learn this from him. It's actually good he has gone out to seek international help, but I believe it's still something that if we are really sincere, if we are really, taking responsibility, it's something we should be able to handle among ourselves. This thing, he stated that even as low as 500 naira, these people are big. So let's know, how do we change the orientation of the youth? How do we do things to change people, just like we're talking about the government bringing, creating awareness on how the proper way to go about acquiring land in Lagos. Now, how do the government should come out, educate the youth, create things that will change their mind from crime, to positivity. So it begins with the people. These people are not using spirit; they are using human being, and they are using the youth full of energy. All right. So the government should see how to convert the energy of the youth into positivity. By so doing, the youth will be useful to themselves and be useful to the nation. Yeah. You get, so it's not all about fighting the people. If the problem is not handled from the root, once you kill these people, some people will see, some new people will be recruited. Right. So I believe the government should just look into it and ensure that they do it the proper way.
All right. So this is all we can take on the newspaper review segment for today. But before we leave the studio, we'd like that you follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Prime Media TV. On Instagram and TikTok, we are Prime Media Studios. On the website where you are currently watching us, we are enginespeak.com. You can as well follow us on YouTube at Enginespeak. I am Ayo. Until I come your way again, please do have a great day.